ReefDudes is sponsored by Ecotech Marine and Bulk Reef Supply.
So it's been about a year since I've been here. Got the 135 gallon tank, looking fabulous as always. It's definitely been a while. How's the tank been going the past year?
It's been really good. Yeah, thanks for coming again, Devin. Really appreciate you coming back. Been a year of ups and downs, as usually it is with reef tanks, but generally been really happy. A few changes, but generally just been sitting back and watching it go.
That's awesome. It's really filling in nicely. Like, it's starting to look like a very mature reef tank now. Last time I was here, it was still a fairly new tank, right?
It was. I think when you came last February or March, it was running just under a year, and I think we're just coming up to 2 years now. Yeah, I think end of April or early May will be 2 years.
Just about perfect timing then. Mm-hmm. So, biggest change I've noticed since the last time is you have a new lighting fixture, and you went for a hybrid one on this one.
Yep, different lighting fixture. I think the last time you came out, we had the, and I still have them, the 3AI Hydras underneath that were on a light bar that a light box that I built with some plumber's pipe. Really liked it. I think, as is often the case, sometimes we're victims of our own success, and as the corals were growing, I found that there was a lot of shading going on, and so started to consider options for how to maybe improve the lighting in the tank. This was before some of the AI blades came out, and so we were just sort of looking around and kind of considered adding another LED. But then Local Reefer had this T5 hybrid that really fit perfectly over top of this tank.
Yes.
For a really good deal. And so obviously there's been a lot of success with T5s in the past. So I decided to give it a go since I never had kind of tried it before. So
that's awesome.
And gotta say, super happy so far. It's been running probably about 7 months now.
Nice. Well, they're definitely tried and true, and can't complain about a good deal. So you did a great job mounting it too. It looks pretty sleek above it.
Yeah, no thanks. I didn't want to lose that floating aspect that I had before. Yep. One of the worries I had with the T5 hybrid was I wasn't going to be able to get into the tank easily. But I ended up getting this Aquatic Life suspension setup, which I built into these separate towers, which allows for the light to be retracted up and down, so I can actually lock it up out of the way if I need to do anything serious in the tank. And then it still gives it that sort of clean suspension look without hanging it directly from the ceiling.
And it's also fully adjustable too, so you could raise or lower these if you wanted as well by the looks of it.
It's actually a very well thought out system. Yeah, and it was very straightforward to put together. As you can see, I still got a bit of work to do behind the scenes for a bit of sanding and mudding and painting, but that was sort of the leftover from before.
Yep.
And then I had some extra timber set aside, which matched the tank. So
perfect.
I put that on top and still kept some of that plumber's pipe look that I had before. And then those are sort of some of the older corals I had left over from before. So it kind of capped it off really nice.
Yeah, it works really well, and actually the matching wood too is kind of a nice aesthetic to tie everything together.
Yeah, I thought it matched actually quite good. It wasn't by design. I sort of got lucky. I had that piece of wood sitting in the basement. I thought, oh, that'll look good.
Perfect. Well, the corals are looking great. Clowns are definitely loving that Ghani. All of your acros as well. Everything's starting to it's looking very mature now. Like the tank is, definitely looks settled. It no longer is that new tank look. It looked like it's been here a while, which is awesome.
Yeah, you get a chance to see some tanks like your own and others that have been around a while, and you kind of want to get there quickly, and you know that you can't. You just have to be patient, and I think this is the longest I've had a single tank set up in one spot, and we've really been enjoying just watching it kind of grow now. It's been very much hands off, just letting it go, not a lot of changes, just sort of keeping up with the maintenance and the husbandry and just letting things go, and they seem happier for it.
Oh, that's awesome. What are you doing for regular maintenance on it?
So from the day one, we've tried to stick to water change 25% every Sunday or once a week. And that includes changing, cleaning the skimmers and changing the carbon if needed. I have changed to, I used to be a real proponent for vacuuming the sand, but I found now with all the corals, the way they're growing, that I don't have access to the sand as well with the Python tube, and I found that I was breaking things. So I've gone in with a extra long turkey baster, and so early in the morning, the day of my water change, I'll go in and I'll absolutely stir up all the sand in the tank, and then I'll let the filter roller and the skimmers take the bulk of it out.
Nice.
And then I just do the water change that day. And so that's kind of the main thing that I do still religiously once a week. And yeah, it seems to work, so I have a hard time justifying not doing it.
No, that's awesome. Well, it just goes to show it's just such a nice buffer of, you know, you're missing trace or just too much something in the water, just kind of that nice buffer to keep everything happy. And, you know, everything obviously is happy and growing well in here, so it's working. So down below the stand, what do we got going on down here?
That's probably the biggest change since outside of the lights since last year when you were here. So it probably is a bit of a different design that you don't see a ton, but still have the filter roller going strong. Last time you came, I had the Refugium with the Chaetomorph, and I really struggled with it. It just seemed to melt away. I still have good nutrients in the tank. I tried adding the trace elements, tried changing the lights, tried changing the flow, but I just really struggled with it. And so I ended up taking my Refugium offline. And at that time, I ended up upgrading to a larger bubble mega skimmer. So I went to the Curve 7.
Yep.
And then I went to sell my Curve 5, and I didn't have any takers at that time. So I decided, well, I got it sitting here anyways, so why don't I throw it in the tank and it'll fill that spot where the Refugium was. And
Nice.
the benefits really have been that I've seen absolutely no change in my nutrient levels from before I had the Refugium. Now,
Perfect.
obviously the Chaeto wasn't working that well anyways. The sump's a lot cleaner, and the biggest change I've noticed is the pH bump that I've seen from running both.
Yeah.
I'm obviously not suggesting that everyone runs two different skimmers, but I've got a Curve 7, a Curve 5, so I just call it a Curve 12 now.
Perfect.
And yeah, it ended up bumping my pH probably, and I know pH is sort of the real kind of thing to talk about right now, and not that I chase it, but it's kind of interesting to track. And so it ended up bumping at about 0.1, so I bottom out around 8.3 now, and it'll go up to around 8.55 during the day.
That's a good place to be.
So it seems like a good place to be, and the extra aeration's never a problem, right? So the only downside is obviously maybe not so many places for pods to grow, but I've got a mandarin in the tank that seems super happy, and I still do dose pods to the tank. And you got to clean 2 skimmers now.
Yeah, so other than a little bit of work, I mean, the extra gas exchange is definitely a good thing. And yeah, the extra pH boost, I mean, make a lot of people jealous with that higher pH, so it's a good place to be. Next time I come over, you're gonna be complaining all your corals are growing into each other and they're growing too fast.
They're already doing that. I just didn't want to complain about it.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Which is funny. I don't even know why I still chase pH, because same thing. I'm constantly trying to like trim stuff that's growing into each other, merging into one. But
yeah, I used to trim everything. I used to be pretty meticulous about, making sure everything had its space and growth, but I actually kind of have just let things grow into each other now. And unless it's gross where it appears that there's some real bad warfare that's really affecting one coral dramatically, I kind of just let them sort themselves out a little bit if they're big enough to handle it. And it just seems like an easier way to go, quite honestly. Eventually you're going to lose that fight.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's a few things you see little bits of stuff, but for the most part, they start to grow into each other. I mean, let nature do its thing. There's a couple little bits you can see with like...
Yeah, between the Monty and the green spruce, or I forget what the name of that one is.
Yep, nice and fuzzy, whatever it is. But overall, I mean, can't knock it. Everything's looking awesome in here.
Yeah, I did a little flow change, just moved some pumps around, but generally didn't add any extra flow. I felt kind of probably had enough, so just put it. I didn't want to put one on the end of the tank, but
It happened.
It made sense. So, and it really did make a change. And that little Nero 5 is pretty low profile. So
Is that the 5 or the 3?
that's the, no, sorry, that's the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the 5 on the long ends and just the 3 on this end. And
Nice.
it's really easy to just move around and clean, and it's not too obtrusive.
Yeah. Did you notice much of a difference from adding the other pump on this end?
I actually did.
Really?
Yeah, I think that I had it on the back wall, but I found tuning it to be a little difficult. I ended up getting either way too much flow on this end or not enough. So by having it sort of channel, so I have the 2 on the outside edges going the length of the tank, and then this one running this way. And probably the biggest difference I noticed is, you know, when you look up at the water surface and you notice that oil slick where you have some stagnant water, I don't have that anymore.
Oh, that's
it
nice.
seemed like I always had that at this end,
Yep.
and I feel like that perhaps it's keeping the movement on top of the water and allowing it to get back to be skimmed off on the far end. So I think that's probably the biggest difference that I've noticed.
Beauty. Well, not a single bit of a protein layer that I can see, so it's definitely doing the job. All right, the tank is definitely looking awesome, so thanks so much for the tank tour.
My pleasure. You're welcome anytime, Devin. Nice to see you.
Much appreciated. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, as always, hit that like button. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next video.